Hey everybody, it's David and Nikki Nellis for Foodie the Beast.
We have such a delicious show for you today. Do you want to learn how to shuck oysters?
No, shucks.
You're gonna. Jamie Leeds is in from Hank's Oyster Bar. She's doing an in-studio demo. And Lisa YOCKELSON is in. She's baking with style.
And Spencer McKenna's in from LANSDOWNE Resort talking about all kinds of cool events for Virginia Wine Month. And also Jordan Harris, the winemaker at TARARA Winery.
It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned.
Planet Wine. It's like having your own wine cellar right in the heart of Del Rey. More than 700 bottles of domestic and imported wines offer something for every occasion and budget. For fine wines and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey.
Jordan, let's get into you. So...
I'm already into Jordan.
I know. Thank you. It is the hair. So just give us, I mean, we've had you in before, but just give everybody a quick 411 on TARARA, please.
Yeah, we're a small little winery that's about 8 miles north of Leesburg, actually close to Lansdowne. We partner with them on a bunch of stuff. Specialize in a lot of single vineyard wines from different vineyards that we have around the state. But for whites, and we'll end up talking about it as we get going, Viognier is really our flagship grape variety for sure.
Why is that? Why is Viognier?
Grape.
It just grows really well in the different vineyards that we work with. We don't want to really try to push anything to be what it doesn't want to be. And Viognier just expresses itself really well in Virginia. It can hold on to its city, keep a lot of that freshness, but also the heat that we have here, it really ripens the flavor, has more exotic style characteristics.
Not today. So what are you going to pour first?
You have a bunch of wine over there. Tell us what you're pouring.
Sure. I'll hand some of these off, but we've got... the first wines, we're going to try a wine from DELAPLANE Cellars, which is one of the partners for us that are coming over for Fine Vine from Maggie's Vineyard, which is a vineyard that they do in Loudoun County as well. They're actually in, DELAPLANE's actually in Fauquier. And our wholesale style Viognier that we don't do a lot of in our retail store, but it comes from another vineyard also in Loudoun called Williams Gap, and it's more of a full rich style. So you're also trying differents of vintages. The Maggie's is 2008, and then 2010, as I was saying, was that classic sort of vintage.
All right, well, while you're passing out, we're going to bring in our first guest. Many people in D.C. know her, Lisa YOCKELSON. You know her by her pink fuchsia, her pink colors, but also her fantastic baking advice and recipes that you see in the Washington Post, and also her fantastic baking books. Her new one just dropped, and it's baking style, and we are so excited to have you in studio because she came with brownies.
I'm going to hold it up for the camera.
Came with brownies. I came with chocolate.
Right.
I came with pink.
She came with pink. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. So let's just talk. This book is it's like an encyclopedia. When you went to start putting this book together, what was it that you were looking to do? I mean, did you want an encyclopedia of baking? I mean, aside from all your memories and essays and talking about your mother and the people who influenced your baking, there's a lot of technical information in here.
That's right. That's right. I decided that I wanted to write a personal lifestyle book on the art and craft of baking at home. And so that's really what baking style is about. But when you write personally, through about 100 essays, which are in the book, I also have 200 recipes. And so you have to give some idea about how to negotiate through recipes. And that's, in the very beginning of baking style, what all of the technique and method is about. Because you just can't drop recipes in without lots of encouraging explanation and technique.
Well, baking is so scientific. And I mean, it seems like you play a lot more then you put the science in, but you do need the science to go with it. How do you compromise those both? How do you bring that together?
Well, what happens in baking style is that in the recipes you can bake from them when your eye alights on something that you absolutely love, like these confection brownies, which are about 600% chocolate.
Should I try one?
Yes,
I wish you would. Very
fudgy,
very fudgy. And then, but you have to have some idea about how to do them as well.
Right.
You understand. So, how good are they?
They're delicious. Like, are you kidding? Can you share some?
Are they fudgy and chewy? Because that was my goal.
They're definitely fudgy. I haven't bitten into it yet.
Whoa.
And so,
here you go.
all of the information is in the front of the book if you need to actually research a technique or a method. But the goal was, in fact, to write all the recipes in baking style so that when you actually open the book, you can bake directly from the recipe itself. And then read all the interesting how-to ahead of time when you want to be an armchair baker.
Let me ask a question.
Well, that's what I really loved. I loved how some of your recipes evolved. You know, whether it was your rolls or your brownies or some of your cakes, whether you got it from somebody else and you made it your own. We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about some of your favorite recipes in here and how they've evolved over the years.
And how your grandmother sweat the cinnamon buns.
This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We're drinking some lovely viognier. We're going to be, I smell oysters. I smell it. The studio is starting to smell good, and we're snacking on brownies. We'll be back in just a sec.
The phrase neighborhood restaurant means convenience, but not necessarily style or good taste. But in DC's West End, Circle Bistro, Notte Bianche, and Dish Plus Drinks take neighborhood dining to new levels. Circle Bistro offers contemporary French-inspired cuisine. Dish has new twists on American classics. And Notte Bianche is the perfect Italian trattoria. The Kennedy Center is just steps away, so pre- and post-theater dining is enjoyable and convenient. Dish, Notte Bianche, and Circle Bistro. There's good taste in the neighborhood. And we are back on Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis, and Lisa Yockelson is in the studio, and we're talking baking and stuff.
We are, and I was saying to Lisa when we were off air, few people know that prior to my getting into the food writing world, I actually baked out of my house for area restaurants.
I didn't know that.
Which was highly illegal, but I did it anyway. But I really, because of what I do now with all the kids and everything like that, I don't bake as much as I used to, and I really miss it. And reading your book just made me realize that I need to get back in the kitchen and bake more, that it's important for my family to have it there.
Because I'm not fat enough.
No, it's not for you. It's for the children. But I do.
For the children. No hungry child.
But let's talk
behind.
about some of your favorite recipes. What are some of like your children in here, and how have they evolved over the years?
Well, the top 10 starts out with the confection brownies that I brought today. And these are great because the brownies can be made ahead and frozen, and who doesn't have a midnight snack from the freezer, a chocolate brownie?
I had that last night when we got home.
So what do you do, microwave them for?
No, defrost.
I love a frozen brownie.
Okay, so brownies.
Brownies.
But you have so many different kinds of brownies.
I do. I have lots of chocolate in baking style, but lots of cookies and buttery babka and scones and muffins and cupcakes.
Well, and it really comes across. It's a really delicious read. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, wait, we have like 2 more minutes. I just want to make sure we know, first of all, where to find the book.
Oh, and tell us you're going to be doing a book signing soon.
I'm going to be doing an event at Restaurant Riz for women chefs and restaurateurs on October the 23rd. And you can find more information about my books on bakingstyledairy.com.
Excellent.
Okay.
Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
a fun book. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So there are 2 Hank's Oyster Bars. One's in D.C. and one's in Old Town. But there's really only one word that I use to describe both, and that's fresh and delicious.
Oh my
And
God.
those are actually 2 words. Hank's is the brainchild of chef-owner Jamie Leeds. Jamie's sitting next to me again. You're like our Steve Martin.
I love being here.
Yeah, to talk about a bunch of stuff going on in her life. The most obvious is that you just doubled the size of the I almost called it Frank's, the Hanks, down at 17th, near 17th and Q.
On Q Street.
The cool thing is that what you did was you moved out of an apartment, knocked down the walls, and
Why don't
renovated
you let her
your apartment.
tell it instead of
So
you
wait a minute, I
telling
want to
it?
hear about that whole story, because I've never heard about that one before.
Well, we expanded the restaurant. We doubled it in size. And what we did is we added a bar, a 17-seat bar, a 20-seat lounge, and then we have a private dining room for 24 seats.
But the space is uber cool.
Yeah, it's very
Totally
It's really
different.
cool.
It's
I had
really
a
beautiful.
really incredible interior designer named Maggie O'Neill, who's an artist, and she really did some really amazing things. So we're really happy
Did you
with
have
the way
an
it came
overall
out.
feel that you were looking for? Because it's very different from the... I mean, it blends well, but it is very different than the initial
I
Hanks.
wanted it to be different. It's kind of like the grown-up version of Hanks is kind of how I look at it. And
So the kids go in one section?
right, exactly. Well, we left the dining room the same because the dining room is so wonderful, and it's my first baby, and we have so many regulars and people that love to dine there. I didn't want to upset anybody, so we left the dining room.
Regulars can be finicky.
Yeah,
right?
we left the dining room intact and just made a little entranceway from one section to the other. And so we have the big brick wall is still there and all of the fun stuff. But the bar is now you can eat at the bar, and the shucker is right there in front of you, shucking oysters. The lounge area is much more cool and hip and
very hip.
Fun. And we have crafted cocktails and classic cocktails. I
Yeah,
have
we
a
had some of the
mixologist.
punches.
Yeah, we're doing punches for 10 and 12 people.
I love that.
With beautiful cut glass bowls that I got on eBay, which I love.
Fun.
Yeah, really fun stuff.
Yes.
Let's transition to my favorite subject of the day, and that is you have invented a new strain of oyster. Is that the
Exact. Well,
Okay, wait. Before
I
you start
haven't.
talking, can you pass one of those oysters?
Yeah, we have these
over?
incredible barbecue oysters that we serve at Hank's.
Thank you.
and,
Is
this the Hayden
It's
or
not.
no?
These are Hayden's Reef,
All right,
and
well, explain that.
Well,
Gorgeous.
what we've done is I've partnered with our oyster farmer, Bruce Wood, who owns Dragon Creek Oysters, and he's an incredible oyster farmer. He only farms one oyster, Dragon Creek, and
Okay.
we've just established a really good relationship. And he takes care of me, when I need oysters, and I'm always buying from him. So we have a really good rapport. And he suggested that he would like to, in conjunction with saving the bay,
Right.
building a reef for us to save our oyster shells. And he would come pick up our oyster shells and build a reef in his bay. And he would grow an oyster
So
specifically
what do they do?
just for
Grind up
Hank's.
the oysters? What
No,
do they do?
we did. I took the staff and we went out to the farm, and we have barrels and barrels of oyster
Did
shells.
you take Haggy with you on that trip?
That was the
Hagedorn?
second trip.
Okay.
David Hagedorn came the second trip.
What do you call a guy
And we
Haggy
did-
on the radio?
We
I
dumped the
love 'em.
shells. We took the boat out, and he had a specific area in the water that we dumped the shells, and we created a wall, which was the
All right,
reef.
but let's talk about the actual oysters. This is where you're going to get uncomfortable. But how do you?
Wait,
How
is
do
there
you
an
get-
oyster on top of my oyster?
How
Oh
do you?
yes, you got lucky. Look at that little baby oyster.
Killing a baby oyster. I want to know, to create a new variety of oyster, how do you get the two oysters interested in each other? And I asked you this earlier. Do you?
David wants to talk about oyster sex.
Well, do you feed them other oysters for aphrodisiacs? Do you
They
show
just
them,
have a good time,
is there
whatever they
oyster-
do.
We want to know if there's oyster porn that they watch. To then
It's very possible
get it on.
because they taste so good. I mean, they must be having fun while
I'm
they're
so
gonna
they
doing
get
it.
another
eat each
one.
other.
and Jamie's about to
Shuck an oyster.
decapitate
Yes, I
or
am.
whatever an oyster.
Decapitate.
I'm standing so that I can get my balance.
And let me mention that you can see this on the TV show, which will air a week from this Friday
Can
at
we
8:30.
see the whole oyster?
Yes.
No, that's
And
a.
you'll be able to watch her shuck.
This is a Hayden oyster.
This is Hayden's Reef.
Hayden's
And you
Reef.
see it's a medium size. And what you have to do is you have to have the proper shucking knife,
Okay.
first of all. And this is the shucking knife with it's not a pointy, sharp blade tip. It's kind of a dulled tip.
Okay.
And
Is that because you don't want to get in there and like rip it
you
to
don't want to
shreds?
rip up the meat of the oyster.
Okay.
So you just want to find the opening of the oyster. There's usually a spot at the very tip. And you always want to use a towel as well to protect your hand.
Okay.
So
Yeah, please, no slicing fingers in studio.
Definitely not.
No blood in
I've been doing this for
studio.
over 20 years. So I
Okay.
think I can do it.
Don't jinx her.
We don't
But
wanna-
another thing you want to do is you don't want to rush.
Okay.
You never want to rush, or you always want to just take your time and find the opening.
I'm gonna move
And
this.
so,
There we go.
There you
okay.
go. All
So
right.
you just find the opening, and then you just twist the oyster knife a little bit until it pops open.
Okay.
And then what you do, so that you want to keep the muscle, there's a muscle at the top, on the top shell and on the bottom shell.
Okay.
So what you do is you flatten out your blade and you bring the blade through to over the top.
So you're sort of making sure
the
that it all
meat
stays
of
together.
the oyster, exactly.
Got it.
So
And can you actually hear the oyster scream, or is that
Help me.
well, it is alive, so you know.
more?
Once you cut the muscle, it will then.
I guess eating brownies is a lot less.
But there you go, and then you just make sure you clean out any of the shell, the little shell that you got, and
And that's it.
there it is.
Oh, it's beautiful. That looks
So-
gorgeous. Thank you. All right. So we have to wrap you up, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I want to talk about
women chefs and restaurateurs. You are the president.
emceeing, and you're emceeing tonight. We have an incredible event going on tonight.
With Carla Hall.
With Carla Hall, some great auction items. She's offering a couple of tickets to her show, The Chew.
Do you mean Carla Hall of The Chew?
The Chew, yes. It's tonight. It's the 3rd annual WCR World Fair. It's a street food festival. Over 40 women are participating. Mixologists, chefs, sommeliers, cheesemakers, farmers, cider makers, brewers, and the tickets you can get online at womenchefs.org under events until 1 o'clock today. They're $65, or you can come.
And there's only a couple tickets left.
Yeah, it's actually almost sold out. You can come to the door also if you want to pay $75. Come to the door to Willow Restaurant. It's at 4301 North Fairfax Drive in Arlington, the Ballston area. And it's just going to be an amazing event. We're going to have food trucks outside.
What food trucks are
We're
coming?
going to have Hula Girl truck.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a taco truck.
Fun.
As well. So Hula
What
Girl
kind of
truck
food?
is that's Hawaiian food. She does teriyakis.
Fun.
And, platters of teriyaki and rice.
That's
and
fun.
It's really good. It's a newer truck.
I was going to say, I don't know that one.
Doing really well.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited to be there tonight. I think it's going to be great fun, and there's great auction items, and it's a good.
And I don't want you to feel bad. I'm excited to be at home babysitting the kids.
It's good. Good.
Poor baby.
It's good time for the women to have fun together.
Exactly.
I like
Women power.
We don't
women
need you.
power. Oh, you need me. I could be your usher.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's very exciting what you're doing with
Thanks.
The oysters. I think that's very cool.
I was very excited to eat them.
Good. I'm glad you
Very
like
nice.
them.
Yeah, we've got Spencer McKenna in with us from Lansdowne.
Hi.
Yes, thank
A
you very
great
much,
spot.
Nikki, for having me on the show, too.
See, he thanks me, not you.
See,
And thank you, The Beast, of course.
yeah, Mr. Nicky Nellis. Right. Thank you, Spencer. What's your name? You guys have a big wine program out there, and I know you work with Jordan at TARARA and other.
And lots of Virginia wine.
Yeah,
Yes.
Which
so
I think is great.
Give us a little
True.
411 on that.
Okay. We do work with TARARA quite a bit. We do a private label with them, LANSDOWNE Reserve Red and White, which we just actually talked about this morning, doing another vintage. And then we also work with about 12 other wineries that we get on our menu, be it Sunset Hills, Fabioli Cellars, Duquesne Winery, and we really try to illuminate Loudoun County for what it is and Virginia in general. And then from there, we do another 100-bottle list.
Well, that's what we read, that you actually trimmed your list from
I did.
250
Why?
to 100.
Why did you do that?
Well,
Most people are.
yeah, no, a
expanding.
lot of people are expanding, though with the economy the way it is and just seeing that people aren't going out to spend $350, $400 on a bottle of wine, that they're looking for value wines. And that's something
You just
that's-
made my throat close.
and that's something that's really coming around right now is that wines don't have to be super expensive to be great. And I know Jordan can tell you that too, that there's some great wines out there, you just got to look for them and you got to be educated.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit more about how you work with farms.
Okay.
Just like how you work with the local vineyards. And I know you have some overnight packages. We have to take a quick break.
Not a
But
problem.
when we come back, we're going to talk more about staycationing at Lansdowne.
Didn't we invent that?
Somebody did. It's a great word.
I would like to
love
think
it.
that I did.
And we're going to talk more about Viognier, which with a huge event coming up in
And
October.
it's not Vigionaire, for those of you.
This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We'll be right back.
Get the business date.
Planet Wine in Del Rey is more than just 700 great wines. There's also a stellar selection of craft beers picked by Greg Engert, one of Food and Wine's favorite beer experts, and artisan charcuterie from Red Apron. For fine wines, beers, and more, there's a... All right, we're back on Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis.
And honey butter.
Before
Yum.
we get back to all that, I want to thank our sponsors, because they're the ones that make this show possible. And again, I want to say to anyone who's not a sponsor of the show, don't be embarrassed. It's okay. There's still time to get in on this thing before it takes off like a rocket. The folks at Georgetown Bakery, thank you for fresh-killed bagels every morning. They're so good. Neighborhood Restaurant Group, that's our friends at Rustico and Tallulah, Vermilion, Buzz Bakery, Birch and Barley, Church Key. The folks at Founding Farmers, and there's a new Founding Farmers coming soon.
Out in Potomac.
Out in Potomac, so you lucky Potomacans or whatever you are will have one.
Potomacatians.
Whatever. Folks at Modus Hospitality, they own Notte Bianchi and Dish and Circle Bistro,
Which is now open.
right? Charles Schwartz and Son Fine Jewelers, and the folks at Bethesda Central Farm Market, all happy supporters of this show. Thank you.
All right. So, Spencer, I want to get back to you. You brought in a plate of local cheeses.
We did.
beautiful.
And they're
did.
delicious. And honey butter. I don't even know what honey butter is. What is it?
House-made honey butter. One of our culinarians, one of our sous chefs, my chef de cuisine on the Potomac, he is an avid canner and loves to work on his jams and jellies. And this honey butter was something that he came up with. And it's a little bit darker because you have to cook it down a little bit. But it's rich. It's delicious.
Scrumptious.
Maybe
Tell
we
us
should
a
have
little
a
bit.
jam session. With
Tell us a little bit about the cheeses you have.
Okay, so I brought in 2 Oak Springs cheeses from Upperville, Virginia. We got the Emmanuel cheddar and the
That spicy cheese is delicious.
the red pepper derby, and then the Point Reyes blue from Maryland.
So, working with local wines, bringing in local cheeses, and you guys make your own honey, right?
We do, and Heller Brothers Honey, which we have the hive on property.
Let's talk about some of the packages at Lansdowne, because you're doing a lot of things to really get people to not just come to Lansdowne, but get out in Virginia and taste the wine, taste
See
the cheese.
what kind of activities we
right.
have.
So let's hear about it.
So we have our wine getaway packages through October and November. And the first one is the Loud and Fine wine package, which includes a deluxe overnight accommodation, buffet breakfast for 2 at the Riverside Hearth, our buffet or kiosk-style restaurant, a self-guided winery tour with 2 complimentary wine tastings at your choice of 2 participating wineries, which Tarara is one of,
right?
of course. And then a $25 gift certificate to be used at a tasting room of your choice, and then 50% off a bottle of Loudoun County wine with the purchase of dinner at On the Potomac.
All right, so make sure before you split that you let everybody know how to find out information online or wherever else they would find out info.
Okay, we're on Facebook and Twitter, but our home site is Lansdowne Resort. That's LANSDOWN Resort, RESORT.com. And if you're calling to make reservations at On the Potomac, it's 703-729-4073.
And operators are on duty now.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and bringing all the very tasty cheese, which goes lovely with the Viognier that we're drinking.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the Viognier event that you're doing, because you used to do it in June and now you're doing it in October. Why the change?
We just thought about it, and the heat was, in June it can be a little bit much, and quite frankly, people always just tell us they want to come through in October when the leaves are changing. It's the harvest season. It's a great reason to celebrate with food and wine.
Is it an outdoor event or an indoor event?
It is. Well, it's in a pavilion, but it's open. If it does happen to be like today, next weekend, then we'll have to figure something
It's nice
out.
right
Today,
now.
Actually, the
It's
sun's
nice
out. They were saying that it's supposed to be drier than yesterday, but still cooler. So
Okay.
we'll see. But it is meant to be an outdoor event still, and really express the harvest. And it's also in June. It's really hard when we're talking to the restaurants about getting local seasonal ingredients. They're
He's
just
pushing it over.
they're just starting to come in. Whereas right now, there's a lot more for the restaurants to ultimately pick from.
All right, give the 411 on the event.
Okay,
What's going to be there? Who's there? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so this coming Sunday is our Fine Vine event, our third one that we do. It's a big celebration of Viognier and the whole, local, buy local, eat local, drink local. And we also wanted to do it for Virginia Wine Month. That's the other reason we moved it to October. So there are several different Viognier-inspired wines. Some are blends, some are straight Viognier from Veritas Vineyards down near Charlottesville. DELAPLANE in Fauquier County, and our wines. And we're paired with a few different local restaurants and food purveyors. There's Pizzeria Moto, who's kind of a mobile pizza oven, which is really kind of cool.
Oh, we've seen them.
Yeah,
cool.
That
it's
pizza
very
oven
cool.
is
It's real cool.
amazing. It's like a brick wood-burning oven. It's
I'm begging my wife to have one for my own house.
oh my
but
God,
she's,
it's amazing.
Well, Jordan, that's your surprise today. Congratulations.
Your parting gift.
Okay, and we want to thank our guests, Jordan Harris, Lisa Yockelson, Spencer McKenna, and last but never least, our friend Jamie Leeds. This is a fun show.
It's a delicious show.
And I'm full.
As well, you should be.
Yeah.
We have a wonderful show next week. We got Jeff Black coming in. The Supergirl is going to be in, and we're going to be drinking tea.
Will she wear her cape and
I hope
tights?
so.
Hubba, hubba.
Anyway,
All right.
everybody have a delicious week.